Can you tell me how this out-of-control environment led to your rape?
So everyone's drunk all the time, everyone's high all the time, and I find myself being drunk and high and not knowing how to say no. And you meet people and you think they're your friends, and then the next thing you know, they're kissing you and touching you, and you just don't know how to say no. It's being taken advantage of, and you don't want to do it.
Could you give me some statistics about rapes?
In terms of forcible sexual assault and also including non-forcible sexual assault, there was only 2 reported cases for both 2002. 2 were reported, 2003 there were 2 that were reported, in 2004 there were 2 were reported.
How big a problem is abuse against women at UCSC?
Between 20 and 25% of college-age women, which is 18 to 25, have experienced some type of experience that was unwanted sexual experiences. Compare that to having 2 reported accounts for both 2002, 2004, and 2006, 2 occurring each year. That's a huge discrepancy in the realities of such. I would say that it's a relatively large issue here, and I think a lot of it has to do with education.
Yeah, I think so. I think schools have really a responsibility to put out, just like what we see here, a lot of information about rape prevention, what the young girls, because they need to be protected. You have to have this aura about yourself. Okay, if you're walking down the street, don't walk down the street looking all, oh, I'm, huddled, I'm kind of submissive. No, have your head up, pull your head up, pull your shoulders back, walk straight, be bold, be yourself, be assertive. And that's just one little tip I would recommend that young women follow.
Good to my baby, good to my baby, good to my baby, good to my baby. They think I'm bad and I treat it so.
He wasn't drunk, and he wasn't high, and I was. And the people around me were. If I knew how to say no to the drugs and alcohol, maybe I would have known how to say no to him.
What are the triggers to violence?
The triggers to violence?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very large question. Feeling the need to assert power over someone is also, because sex and power are very, very closely connected, and rape is an assertion of power. So feeling powerless can also be a trigger to feeling that you need to use violent means to get one's needs or persuasions met. Can be a trigger as well.
In this case, because we're talking about the women, I'd say the gentleman in this situation is feeling he needs to have control of this woman, and that's where it all starts.
A lot of folks, come from the idea that it is based on, some people, it's something that is culturally instilled on people through images that we see on TV, various forms of media, sort of naturalizing violence and the coercion, the persuasion of tactics to engage in sex as being one of the triggers to violence.
Anything that goes along that line, whether it be anxiety, that a person, or frustration, it could be something maybe from this gentleman's background that's pushed him into this. Anything, a lot of times it's just media, they see things on TV, there's so much violence on TV.
Through images that we see on TV, various forms of media, sort of naturalizing violence and the coercion and the persuasion of tactics to engage in sex as being one of the triggers to violence.
Does the school's environment shape the frequency and form of abuse?
UCSC is sort of we're our own community, but we're also sort of a representation of the larger cultural spheres as well. I think that what we could be doing is really having conversations about what does healthy relationships look like. What do positive? How do you create sexual experiences that you are wanting to have versus feeling like you're just needing to have sex, or really boosting that educational element to that. And I think the folks who are on campus, staff and faculty and students alike, are very motivated to try to provide resources that do reflect that need. And I think we've still far way to go in terms of really creating a culture here on campus that is very, blatantly, against any type of violence.
My feeling is that our society sends out mixed signals for violence against women, because on one hand you want to do the right thing, so they encourage a woman who has had any violence against her to report it. But on the other hand, in the example with Kobe Bryant, here's a famous person with a lot of pull financially. He can hire anyone and cover up whatever he needs to and pay off, and it does not make him look bad, but yet it makes the victim appear that she is the one who's been at fault, and that's not true.
Can you tell me what your peers pressured you to do?
I was in the drug and substance-free dorms, but they were still drunk and high all the time, and I found myself in social circles where I felt pressured to smoke pot and do drugs and drink a lot on weekdays and before class and after class, and there was really no control.
Can sexual abuse be prevented?
I feel that one of the largest health issues here on campus is binge drinking and the use of substances. And I think there's a lot of gray area when substances are being used in terms of how do you communicate your own boundaries and ask other people's boundaries when engaging in physical sexual relationships with one another. So I think by being able to have that education and incorporating the ideas of like this is sort of what the effects of binge drinking can be, and how does that play into personal choice, and there's it's just sort of that drop that creates that ripple of education and being able to like really start to figure out how to be responsible for one's actions and how to protect oneself. And I think that's a big element that can really help for the prevention and bringing more light to these topics as well.
I think knowledge, you'd have to have the knowledge to be aware. This is what might happen to you, young lady, if you go to this party where they're just a bunch of guys and there's no other girls. It's almost like you want to use the buddy system. And obviously with the proliferation of new technology, cell phones, pagers, a phone call away, that helps too. So, yeah, there you go.
What services does the Women's Center provide?
The Women's Center provides referral services to both on-campus and off-campus resources that can provide counseling, support groups, and other resources that deal specifically with sexual assault. We also provide informal counseling and advising for students on this campus pertaining to these issues, and we provide both proactive and reactive programming and events here on campus. Everything from how we provide workshops about how to communicate your boundaries, your sexual boundaries, to people that you're wanting to engage in physical relationships with. And then we also provide information nights about things like domestic violence, what are the signs of it, what are the resources of getting at that. And we work with other resource providers here on campus and in the community to try to look at these topics and issues in a way that is more well-rounded to the realities of both the survivors, but also ultimately we're trying to establish a culture where this isn't as high of a occurrence as it is, because it is really astounding how many people have some type of experience with rape or other forms of sexual abuse in their lives.